First up, we need to prepare the wet ingredients, and as you can see, I've just sweated off 2 cloves of garlic and 1 red onion. I'm going to give that 30 more seconds, but meanwhile I'm going to get our Ninja cup, and into it I'm adding half a cup of veg stock, and just to rehydrate I'm going to add half a cup of porcini mushrooms, and they're dried, so just get those in. Next I'm going to be adding half a cup of vegan red wine. That adds a really bold flavour. I've got 3/4 of a cup of black beans. These are cooked and they're just drained and dried off basically. Next, 3 tablespoons of tomato puree. We really want that umami flavour. Next, a tablespoon of soy sauce. Yes, there's lots of ingredients, but this is what you need to do to get that really flavoursome steak. Using the seitan wheat gluten, you need to add lots of flavours. And I've just added a tablespoon of Marmite, a little secret ingredient because it's packed full of that umami flavour. Get that in as well. And now we're going to add the onions and garlic. Next, let's get our onions and garlic in. I've just sweated those down. If there's a little bit of caramelisation on there as well, it just adds more flavour, so that's fine. So next, guys, I have a bit of a herb and spice mix, and I will put the full recipe on my website. And finally, I'm just going to add a touch of salt and pepper. That's the wet ingredients done. I know there's a lot, but as I said, you really need to get lots of flavours into the seitan. So let's get it on. That should be smooth now, and it should be smelling powerful. Yeah, that's exactly what you want. I'm just going to pop that aside, and we're going to prepare the dry ingredients. So into my mixing bowl, I'm going to be adding 2 3/4 cups of wheat gluten. And if you want to know a bit more about seitan or wheat gluten, I went into a bit more detail in my first video of season 4. The Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. I'm also going to be adding half a cup of chickpea flour. I've just stirred the dry ingredients together, and I'm going to get the wet ingredients in. Now simply mix it all until it forms one ball of dough. So guys, I've just got it to this stage now where it's formed one ball of dough. So now it's time to knead the dough, and it's really important, so I'm going to knead it for around 10 minutes. As I said in my Kentucky Fried cruelty-free chicken video, you really need to put all your frustration into it. It's really important that you knead it well. Make sure you do it for the full 10 minutes, and it's not like kneading bread dough. You really need to get your back into it. Give it a few pounds if you need to, because if you don't, you're going to get mushy, sort of spongy seitan once it's cooked, and it's not really what we're trying to get here. We're trying to get, after all, a meat replacement. This recipe will serve around 5 to 6 people, so you can get 5 or 6 good steaks out of this. And in a bit, I'm going to start pounding it. I know it's unorthodox, but it just really helps when kneading the seitan dough. These seitan steaks are really best if you make them the day before. If you leave them in the fridge overnight, they do firm up, and they have a better texture. And plus, you get all the hard work out of the way doing this and cooking them in the broth the day before, and the next day then you just get them out of the fridge and finish them off in the grill, on a barbecue, whatever you like. Don't forget guys, my book is available to pre-order on Amazon now. Please get behind it and support it. It would mean the world to me. It's called Vegan 100. If you just type that into Amazon, or just type Gaz Oakley into Amazon, you'll find it, and it'll be out very soon. So I've got it to this shape. I've been kneading for 10 minutes. I'm just going to lift it onto the board and then cut it into some steaks. You can cut this into whatever size steaks you like, really. I'm going to just go with pieces like this. And I know it doesn't look amazing at this point, but the end product is worth all this effort. It will look amazing, I promise you. It will taste amazing, I promise you. Just bear with me and let's get cooking them. To a large saucepan, add 1 litre of vegetable stock. Add 3 cloves of crushed garlic. Quarter and peel 1 red onion. Then add it to the broth. Add 1 cup of red wine. Half a cup of porcini mushrooms and 1 tablespoon of miso paste. Add a sprig of fresh rosemary and a few sprigs of fresh thyme. Finally, add 1 bay leaf. Bring the broth to a simmer. Now that the broth is simmering nicely, it's time to get the steaks in there, and they're going to be cooking in the broth for about 1 hour. Make sure it's always simmering, so just chill out and let them cook away basically. Pop the lid on and let it simmer for 1 hour. But check it after around 15 minutes and then every 15 minutes after that. Just make sure it's not boiling. We just want a rolling simmer. Take your apron off and chill out. So guys, the steaks have been in the broth for 1 hour now. I'm going to get them out and then get ready to serve them up. Make sure they're firm to the touch, and if so, remove them from the broth. Don't throw away the broth because it comes in really handy when making my peppercorn sauce. The steaks are done. I'm going to let those cool slightly whilst I prepare my peppercorn sauce. I'm going to roast some tomatoes and I'm also going to make some chips. So let's pop those away, and don't forget at this stage you can freeze them once they're cool, and they can last in the freezer for about 3 months, or you can just leave them in the fridge until you want to fry them off or barbecue them. They're really, really handy to have in the freezer or in the fridge when you need them. I'm just putting some vine cherry tomatoes into the oven. The chips are already in there. If you want the recipe, go to the fish and chip video. Right guys, now it's time to make the peppercorn sauce and grill those amazing seitan steaks. I'm just going to pop this small frying pan behind me, ready to make the peppercorn sauce. So to make it, I'm just going to chop 1 shallot really fine, peel off the skin like so, chop the tops off and leave the root on. And cut into the shallot horizontally. Make sure you've got a sharp knife, otherwise you won't be able to do this very well. And then just make a few chops into the shallot, like so. And then just simply chop it up really fine. You need to make sure the shallots are really fine in the peppercorn sauce, because you don't want big lumps of shallots, you just want nice small pieces to run through the sauce really nicely. I'm just going to do the other half and let's get it cooking. The sauce is really quick to make, so I'm going to preheat my griddle pan ready to flame grill the steaks. Add a small amount of olive oil into your pan, followed by the chopped shallot, and just sweat that down until soft. I've just lightly ground up some whole peppercorns, 2 tablespoons, in my pestle and mortar, and that's a good consistency of sizes in there. Some big, some small, that'll be great. Once the onions are soft, add the peppercorns to the pan, followed by 3 tablespoons of brandy. Make sure it's the vegan friendly one. Now that the griddle pan is hot and smoking, let's get these steaks in. And that's what we want to hear. So I'm going to leave those cook for a couple minutes whilst we keep an eye on our peppercorn sauce. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of the broth mixture that I kept back from the steak. Place the sauce over a low heat, then add some soya cream. So I'm adding about a cupful of soya cream. We'll get that in and let it reduce down, let all the flavours mingle together, and it'll taste absolutely amazing. But keep an eye on your steaks. Add a pinch of salt. Right, it's time to flip these steaks and see what they look like. Oh wow, look at that. Vegan steaks. I did it. They look incredible. Just look at that. I love the charring marks. Let's get that back on and do the other side. Keep an eye on your sauce. This is going to look amazing on the plate. You could definitely fool someone by showing them and they taste amazing. No animals were harmed, and they're vegan steaks. Who'd have thought it? Right, the steaks are done. Let's get those off. The sauce is thickened nicely. Let's get the chips out. And wow, they are looking good as well. Remember, if you want the recipe, go to my fish and chip video. You can find it there. They're really, really cool. Also, the tomatoes. I've just roasted these in a little bit of olive oil and seasoning. And now it's time to plate up. Let's get these incredible steaks onto the plate. And get a few big handfuls of these amazing chips as well. Stack them up nicely. Finally, we've got some nice roasted cherry tomatoes. Just put those by there. I've also just prepared a little salad, a really simple salad, which I'm just going to dress with a little bit of olive oil in my bowl. This is literally the perfect meal for today. You can probably hear the rain tapping on the roof, so I'm sorry about that, but I'm happy to have some comfort food on such a horrible day. Get our salad on, just for a little bit of freshness. Obviously serve these steaks with whatever you want. I've just kept it simple here. You can even chop these steaks up and add them to stir fries, have them in a sandwich. Just do whatever you like with them. They're so versatile. Now let's get this really amazing, rich peppercorn sauce, which is really nicely reduced down. I'm just going to put that over the steak. And it's good to serve this on the side as well, just so whoever you're cooking it for can just help themselves if they want a little extra. And there it is. There's my seitan steak, grilled with a peppercorn sauce, roast tomatoes, homemade chips, and if you want the recipe, just go to my fish and chip video for that, and a simple salad. I literally can't get over how good this looks. Serve that to any one of your non-vegan friends and you'll blow them away. I can't wait to give it a try. I've just had to let the camera guys get some beauty shots of this, but all I've wanted to do is dive in and try it. So I'm going to go in now and try this for you guys. It's so tender, it's really, really perfect. It's got a really, really good texture. You can see how nice that looks there. And that's just from kneading it. Make sure you knead it for a long time and get your frustrations out into it. I've got to try this. Oh, that is probably the best mouthful of food I've had since being vegan. All the flavours are just incredible. It just makes sense to get all those spices, all the umami flavours into the seitan when you're making it, because that flavour was just incredible. And the peppercorn sauce, so quick to make, so simple, it just works so well with this. Some of the chips as well, I just want one of these in some of the peppercorn sauce. Oh wow. Remember, the recipe for those chips are in the fish and chip video, and if you want more dishes like this, really adventurous dishes, make sure you've pre-ordered my book on Amazon. It's Vegan 100, or just type in Gazoclete and you'll find it. It's going to be out soon. This is just amazing. I'm having some more. Wow, look at that.